Hello, Libra. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. So welcome. We have that 3 of Discs energy, which is all about the works of our life, right? The things going on in the material world, the career, the stacking resources, getting our houses in order, our relationships, our physical well-being, right? Or physical state. It doesn't always have to be like in a well state because sometimes it's not, right? But when we have the 3 of Discs, we know our energetic forces, those vital essences that flow through us, that flow through our life, they're being directed into something. What is it that you're focused on? Maybe it's more than one thing. Maybe it's the household and the job. Maybe it's getting your schedule more aligned with your relationship, It could be so many different things. But what I do know for sure is that you are very focused on getting this thing sorted out, getting it in the pathway, the framework, the system that serves your higher purpose. So let's go ahead. We're going to turn the bowl. We're going to see what the tea leaves have to say. And I want to tell you I love you and I thank you for being here. I know time is short. We are very privileged to be together, right? In this moment. I feel like everything is as it should be, even when it's so uncomfortable. I can't stand it. I remind myself, everything is in its right place. Everything is as it should be, or it wouldn't be, right? So, what do we do with that? If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. I really, because I'm nosy, if you've been here, you know I'm nosy. I'm really interested in what is your favorite piece of art? Now, it could be music, it could be, a beautiful essay, it could be a painting. I know this is a very general, sweeping question. There's so much art to love. If you want to share, put it in the comments. All right, here we go. Let's see what's going on. So today, as I do this reading, it is October 27th, and this will be, let me make sure. Yes, it's October 27th, which is a Monday, Moon Day, and this will be coming out on October 28th, 2025. And I want to just put the dates in there so you know when they were recorded. But also, I want you to know that these readings are timeless. They're activated when you watch them. But it's good to know when something's made because you can kind of understand the context a little more. Which, honestly, I always wondered about that in art because so often you'll see the country of origin of the artist and the date, the year that the thing was made. And I always used to think, why? Like, why would you do that? And honestly, like, it's so helpful for me now that I understand history a lot more. I don't understand it. I know about it. But yeah, it does. It serves as a context. Okay. All right. So we have we have a goat. I'm going to say this is the devil archetype. We have a person wearing a hat up here. Almost kind of looks like a cowboy hat. Could be like a fedora or something like this. I feel like there is such a pull towards stepping out of your normal behavior. Your normal how you would maybe spend your time. I almost kind of feel like this is like a situation where you're at work, right? You've worked in the same place for some years. You feel comfortable, you know the employees really well. And then there's like somebody new that gets hired, and, you know, you get to talking here and there, and then you start, you know, maybe hanging out at lunch. And then finally it's like, oh, let's go ahead and like see if we, you know, like each other outside of work. Like maybe we could have like a really good friendship going here. And you start to see parts of them that maybe are a little more, I don't know, maybe they don't have a family, or they're not in that, you know, raising kids age, or, you know, what I'm getting at is that they are out there, you know, going out after 6 o'clock at night, you know, going home, being at the house, and then on a school night or on a work night, getting their clothes on and leaving the house after 6 o'clock. Now, if you are like myself, you groan at the thought of this. Like, who the heck has the energy? But, right, when you were younger, at least when I was younger anyways, I used to be leaving the house at like 9 o'clock at night to go start the evening. Now, I could not even imagine. I mean, it better be an emergency if I'm leaving that late at night. So, I feel that you probably, I assume, have been living a life more like mine, where you're by the house, you know, usually before the street lights come on, and you're just kind of doing the family thing. You're doing the I'm getting older thing. You're doing the I don't need to get dressed up and go out every single night, or, you know, whatever. And yet, you meet this new person, they come into your life, and I'm not going to say that they're like a bad influence, because maybe this is exactly what you need, you know. But you do. I think that you are starting to do things that you don't usually do, and that might be, going to the club on like a Wednesday night. Jeez, my stomach's like growling. There we go. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. It is. I'm deep in a fast right now. And it is starting to get to that point where it's going to be lunchtime. So anyways, I do feel like this is kind of a invitation into the unknown. Maybe losing inhibition a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go buck wild and just totally, you know, lose your mind and do whatever. But I do think that, you're going to kind of switch it up a little bit. Maybe, go out on a freaking Wednesday night and come home a little late, right? Now, I don't think this affects your ability to, you know, fulfill your responsibilities, not by any means, but I do think that, you know, with the way that the world has been collectively, the stress, the uncertainty, the, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. I've been looking for a word, but it feels like we are very acutely aware of how shifting things are all the time. Now, life has always been this way, but whatever is happening right now, the rise of technologies, the rise of perceivable interior realities and video games, you know, VR, AI, very immersive, involved sub-realities, and just, I don't know, time feels different. The way that we encounter one another feels very different. At least to me it does. Everything feels a lot different than it did 20 years ago. So I do feel that there is this sense of like we're all changing, and we all have been. We always have been changing, evolving and shifting and growing, and parts of ourselves dying off. And, it's always been that way, but now it just feels like it is so in our face all the time. Right? And so I feel for you that you, in a way, have become more proactive in this. There's not a sense of I'm just going to, see where the current takes me and, hope for the best. And although, right, like on a really deeper existential level, that's like all we can really do, but I do feel like you are proactively allowing yourself to loosen the grip of the what I should be doings and the this is how I, was taught to live, and these are the things that I prioritize because that's what people do. And, this kind of idea that like we have to live our life a certain way. And the reality is, you can do whatever you want. Now, there will be consequences and outcomes to how you live, of course. But if you are willing to ride with that, you can live however the heck you want. At any time. I mean, there are no rules. Everything is made up. Stay woke. Everything is made up. I don't know if we realize this as often as we should, but everything is made up. Period. It both means everything and nothing. And that is something that is hard to face. But I see you in these ways that maybe aren't so overt, starting to decide, yeah, the world is falling apart, like the old world anyways. The new world is on the rise. And I'm not just going to sit here and let this thing happen without partaking in some way, right? I don't know about you, but I feel like we are in a place, a lot of us, where it's like, I'm not just going to let the whim of somebody else or the universe or whatever direct what I do. We are taking full control, or at least perceivable control of our lives. Now, over here, and I've been looking at her this whole time, we have this beautiful goddess, okay? Now, she's also holding a basket, which to me feels interestingly timely because we are coming up on Halloween and all these harvests late in the year, right? Putting things to sleep. The harvest has come. Things have been reaped. But now the fields are they're going to sleep slowly. You can hear the hum of the wind across the flatlands again. And it's very sleepy. And so I look at this and I feel, and we also have over here the Ace of Cups, I feel that there is this sense of kind of the nested mother. If you could imagine crawling into bed after, a long day of doing whatever kids do, playing your sports and fighting with your siblings and going to school and coming home and playing and being tired at the end of the day, right? And maybe not feeling the best either. Maybe there's a little bit of a cold coming on, and you have gone to bed and you can't fall asleep, and you get up and you go down the hallway to mom's room and you knock on the door and you ask, can I sleep with you tonight? And she lets you come in and lay next to her, right? And there is a sense of safety. There is a sense of love and warmth, and you can curl up like a little squirrel in the nest and fall asleep knowing that you're being watched over. And I feel like this is the energy that is rising in your life. I feel that there is, this sense of extreme anxiety at times, and maybe disillusion, and maybe feeling like, I don't know, that everything was a lie. Everything that we were told about life was a lie. And yet we look at it and we think, yeah, well, everybody is just trying to figure it out like I am. So maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe it was just, people had it wrong, right? They were going by what they had learned. And so now on this, precipice, right, at this shift in the universe, in the perceivable human universe, things have just completely become, I don't even know what it is. It's absurdities, right? I don't know. Anyways, that's how I'm experiencing it. There is a lack of trust. I think generally there is a lack of enchantment, right? Not believing. We don't believe everything we're told anymore. At least I feel like most of us aren't. Just like, oh, okay, well, that's what I learned in school, so that's what it must be. I think the days of just accepting things for what we think they are, let me just emphasize, what we think they are, has absolutely gone out the window. So I do feel that in this kind of uncertainty, this anxiety, a lot of people doing things that are irrational, messy, blowing up their lives, because there is no guarantee of what is next. Now, on the other hand, I feel that there are people, and I think this is maybe where you're at, there are people who are finding a deep, deep sense of freedom and comfort and feeling held by the universal mother in this chaos, seeing potential. Now, that's not to say everything is puppies and rainbows, but you are a person, not unlike, I don't know, like the first farmers, or the first using modern agriculture techniques or whatever, coming into a situation, seeing a space that is not empty, right? I mean, there's nothing that's empty. It is a different, it's nature, right? You come into a space, you see potential here to build something, to grow something, and form the land in that way to serve that purpose, right? So a farmer, an architect, a world builder, the magician, okay? So I feel as you seek refuge and a energetic recharge in the universal mother who is very present in your life right now, there is a lifting of spirit, but not only that, a courageousness to not let the fears of the collective or your own fears about the world, paralyze you. No, in fact, you're going to use this as an opportunity to do the things that you've been wanting to do, maybe your whole life, Because I feel that you feel those pangs of freedom that come with the collapse of old worlds, right? Old ways of living. And so, let's keep turning this thing. We also have, it looks like the letter H. And it looks like the name, like honey. H-U-N-N-Y. Honey. Oops. Honey, 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 honey. And it looks like it says, I see it. It almost looks like it says, I see it call. C-A-L-L. I see it call. And there's a group of people kind of like rushing forward. We have a mermaid up here. We have a bird on a mound. We have the number 722. If you are a numerologist or have a proclivity for symbolism and numbers, put in the comments what 722 is to you or in a prescribed. We also have Diana. We have the mother holding the child in the middle, and here's Diana. And we have the quail. So like kind of a fancy chicken. Up here we also have, it looks like a knight or warrior. Okay, so I feel that we have a masculine energy here coming through. This is maybe a grandfather, or it could be that this is an ancestor. They do feel aged through time, spanning over long spaces. Now, I do feel that there is a sense of critique here, and I'm going to say that this is not me judging or me being involved in any kind of larger moral, I don't know, study of this, but I feel that there's this real sense of kind of lament that parts of your family, and I do feel like this is maybe, I have to say, I feel like this is maybe your maternal side, that there is a real focus on money. I mean, I just gotta say, it feels like money is almost like an obsession collectively within this family. Now, I don't know if this is something that you also kind of relate to, or if you are on the outside of this and kind of like, I don't understand why, basically, that's the only thing that they're focused on. If it doesn't involve making money in some way, then it's just kind of like whatever. Now, I do feel that this is almost kind of a time in your life where you are coming back to the realization that you are influenced by this energy more than you've ever really wanted to allow yourself to believe. So I maybe wonder if like you were college aged, you like left home, and maybe you came from money, maybe you came from like a blue collar family that was like just always talking about how to make money, had, multiple jobs and side hustles and, that kind of thing. So they're money obsessed or money leaning, but not necessarily, having a ton of money all the time, right? But I do almost feel like there was like going the other way for you. Like you were purposely maybe, living kind of rough or, when I was 19, 20, maybe 19 or 20, I didn't have a place for like 6 months. I was traveling around doing art and living in my car at times and things like that. And, it could be that you went, away from what you grew up like to rebel, to further your understanding of life. And I feel like you really are attached to this aspect of persona as being somebody who does with less, like you're anti-materialist maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's about minimalism so much as the ethics of having money and maybe ownership. And I don't know if this is political, financial, philosophical, all of the above. But I think as you've gotten older and you've had kids and maybe you have grandkids, I feel like you are understanding that you are more like the people you come from than you imagine. Okay. Now, on top of that, I feel that it is being confirmed, looked at, and recognized that you have worked diligently to make some money, right? To set yourself up, to set your kids up as much as you can. But you're reasonable about it. It's not the end all. And it's not so much about the money and having excessive amounts as it is being able to have a life that is not marred with financial woes. I think that you want the peace that comes with, money doesn't bring you peace. I don't know. Having any kind of money, I didn't have money for most of my adult life. Having a little bit of money, it is stressful. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not complaining about it. I feel very privileged to be in the situation I'm in. And because honestly, I don't believe anything stays the same. Who knows what it will be like tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it, but it also, it is not the thing that cures everything. It makes your life different, and it is nice to be able to pay your bills, to eat, of course. But, I understand both sides. I don't want to ever sit here and have anybody think I don't know what it's like to be in extreme poverty, because, but here's the deal, is that I feel like for you, there's this aspect of almost like you feel like you like you shouldn't. I don't know. I feel like it's a sense of like not being able to enjoy what you have created for yourself because you feel a great sense of guilt and shame for it because you are a socially minded person. And I'm not trying to condemn you in any way, but I feel like this happens with a lot of people. You have these ideals, which is wonderful. And you live by those ideals to some degree, which is wonderful. But the reality is we are animals. We're trying to survive. And we're not always completely selfless, altruistic beings, people. You know, I would not trust somebody who always was. So I do feel like the great work right now for you is coming to terms with the fact that you are a being that wants to survive, and not only just survive, to thrive. And maybe adjusting your image of what that might look like so that you are not torturing yourself when you are doing well, when you are accomplishing the things that you set out to accomplish. You know, I feel like one of the biggest things that, you know, and I'm a silly magical thinker, of course, and I do believe the way that we feel, exist, the things we think about, our interpersonal lives, our interior landscapes, you know, just generally our vibes, this influences the collective so much more than most people could ever even imagine. A lot of people don't even understand what a collective would even mean. A collective unconscious, a collective subconscious, like whatever you want to call it, the zeitgeist, you know. When we do self-work, we change the collective. Okay? And so the more that we integrate and the more that we dwell within the processes of individuation, right? The realization of selves, that changes the collective wellness, right? And so I feel like for you, you are coming out of the illusion, the delusion that has been sold to us by pop spirituality, pop psychology, you know, kind of puritanical thinking, whatever. I could go on and on. But this idea that we have to like strive towards perfection, that is enlightenment. Right? And through that, we need to strip all sense of self, and we need to abandon that which is not pretty to look at, that doesn't bring us joy, you know? And that's just not where it's at, man. Like, we're not cutting, you know, sickness out of ourselves here. You have all of the archetypes within you. You are all of the archetypes. You are everything for a friggin' reason. That's not to say you should dwell in the destructive or the predatory or the, you know, whatever, the shadowy aspects. But to abandon them and leave them to their own devices is why we are where why we are where we're at as a human species, in my humble opinion. And so, I see you doing the good work, and by the good work, I mean, I see you being honest with yourself about who you are and what it is, and allowing yourself, if even for just a little while, to exist as you are in an authentic way. Not in a, I hope one day I'm like this, or I don't want people to know where I come from because I don't want them to realize, you know, the great shame, or, you know, instead of learning to accept these parts of ourselves and integrate these parts of ourselves and using the aspects of these parts of ourselves as tools instead of as, you know, it's like an ugly spot upon our character. No. You are empowering yourself and you are lifting the collective. And honestly, when I meet people that are dwelling in this messiness of self, I have the greatest respect and love. I mean, that's just me. You know when you meet a real one. And I don't mean somebody who's just like being grimy to be grimy, or this is what I am and I'm using that as a weapon too. You can't, I'm just like, they don't do things because, oh, well, that's how I've always been. I don't help because that's how I've always been. That's the way it's always been. Get out of here with that. That's like weaponizing it, right? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is just being honest with yourself. Like, yeah, sometimes I say the wrong thing. Sometimes I, lust for things that, would not serve my life well. And I have to make a decision about that. Sometimes I, get in my own way. Sometimes I can be, somebody that is unkind for no reason. Right? I mean, there's a reason somewhere in there, but sometimes I just choose not to say please and thank you. And I feel bad about it, but that's, sometimes I don't wait that extra second and a half to keep the door open for somebody behind me, and I feel bad about that, but that's, that's just real. Sometimes that's who I am. And I feel shame around that, but that's the reality of it. And you know what? Knowing that, and knowing that I can, in incremental ways, try to change that or stay away from it as much as I can, that is, that is part of the integration. Instead of saying, I will never not hold that door. I have never been rude to somebody before in my whole life. You know what I mean? And there are people. There are probably people close to you. You can think of them right now that dwell in that energy, that, lack of self-awareness kind of energy, and unwillingness to look at it, right? And that kind of stubbornness, that kind of rigid posture, it's like they say, right? If a tree is too stiff and hard, right, when the wind comes through, it's going to snap that thing in half. But when it is alive in its wellness, it is bending and flexing with the wind. And then it doesn't, fall out its roots aren't ripped up, and it's, it's just going with the thing. It's alive and well. Fluid. And so anyways, I like to see this, and I know it's not a surprise because we're doing a Libra reading, so you all are really good at adjusting for yourselves. Okay, so we have the number 126. And again, we have the quail, which I do want to talk about the quail now. Here's the quail again. We had it on the bowl as well. We also have a dog. And we have the letters W-A. Oh, we have two dogs with the quail in the middle. Here is this one. Now, the quail represents luxury. We also have I, heart. Okay, so I do feel like there is a situation coming up here where you're going to be with people you love. Right? Now, maybe this is for the holidays. Maybe this is like a wedding. Maybe there's a situation where everybody is going to be staying in the same house or something like this. But it feels like you are going to be surrounded by people that just love you and you love them. And everything just kind of feels exciting. Now, I also feel that maybe you will be the center of attention. So maybe you are getting married. there's this sense of being kind of elevated, wearing something beautiful, feeling good about yourself. So maybe an award, maybe something like that. And having like a dinner with your peoples. But I do feel like in this time, there's a sense of leaning into the feminine relationships that you have, your friends, your mother, your sisters. I do feel that there has been maybe some amount of time where you have been feeling maybe like you've been very solitary, or maybe just with your family unit, only with your, spouse or kids. And that's like, you're just like in that world all the time. You're not seeing people as much. You're not talking to your family as much. Not because there's a problem, just you're busy. You got stuff going on. But in this time, I think there's a shifting towards being more connected with those probably feminine family members and friends and things. And I feel like this is, it's helping you in this transition of your worldview. I mean, really, that's what it feels like, this kind of changing of how you experience the world and how you interact with the world. Okay. All right, let's do our 3 lucky numbers and then we're out of here. Number 90 is the first one. 45, 90, 45, and 31. 31. All right, Libra. Well, I want to tell you I love you. Thank you for being here. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I'm going to say goodbye. Take care of yourself.